After managing over $30 million in Google Ads, these are the 3 campaign types we never use. The first is going to be smart campaigns. Now, if you're ever opening up an actual Google Ads account, rarely ever will you get trapped into this, but a smart campaign is basically Google's equivalent to Facebook's boosting a post. It's basically just throwing Google some budget and saying, do what you will as long as it's being spent in our industry. A lot of the times it'll spend the money, but you really won't get much for it. Sometimes you get some phone calls, maybe a little bit of action, but most of the time you're going to get obnoxious costs and it's just going to burn through. You'll get maybe a little bit of awareness for your business, but it won't actually turn into conversion actions, which if you're a local business, that could be, lead gen, it could be getting a phone call. If you're an e-com store, depending on your business type, that could be a different meaning when it comes to the actual conversion. But at the end of the day, it's not optimizing for making you money. It's just optimizing to spend the money in something what it deems relevant for your actual industry. So don't waste money there. It seems simple, right? That's our whole premise, but it's just going to burn the money you put into it. Next is going to be demand gen campaigns. So demand gen is a newer campaign type that Google's launched recently. It's basically Google's more algorithm-based campaign type. They're very excited about it. They talk about it nonstop, but we have never seen it make a client actual money. We've tested it with clients that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars each month. We've tested with clients that spend thousands of dollars each month. At each level, it doesn't really do much aside from bringing a low ROI and low results for what's being spent. The reason why is because Google does not do the best when it comes to determining exactly where your money should be spent. Facebook does a pretty good job on that. You might throw something into it. It might have really good creatives and the algorithm will just figure it out. Google's not really there yet. That's why you want to kind of keep it on a leash and have a little bit of control depending on where it's going to spend your money. And demand gen does not give you that control. You're just really going to set it up very simply. You're going to give it certain things it needs, and then it's just going to do what it will there. Google tries to say things like, okay, run it for 30 days, have a budget that you can spend each day for 30 days. And at the end of the 30-day mark, it's going to have positive ROI and dial in. But in my opinion, that's just Google saying, hey, trap 30 days worth of budget in this campaign, and we're going to make that money anyways. At the end of the 30 days, it's really not going to matter. So highly recommend don't use demand gen. If you're ever going to use Google Ads, make sure to stick to campaign types you have a bit more control with, like search campaigns, PMAX, YouTube, whatever it is. Stay away from the overly simplified campaign types that Google is going to make the magic happen for you, because it just does not work that way with Google. Last is going to be display campaigns. When it comes to display campaigns, they used to be a lot better back in the day. When I talk about back in the day, I mean 6, 7+ years ago, because it had a little bit more control that you can manipulate to make sure if the ads are going to show, they're showing to very specific traffic. Nowadays, they've lumped in Google's display partnership network, which means unless you have a fixed audience, like a remarketing audience, if you run display ads, it's going to show on the partnership network, which are thousands, tens of thousands of websites and apps across the internet. And the traffic among those is very, very poor traffic. You'll get really great front-end KPIs, but you'll never actually get conversions out of it. So if you are going to use display campaigns, the only time we ever actually use them is going to be with remarketing audiences or fixed audiences that we know have very, very specific placements. In most cases, like I said, 99% of cases, if you're going to use display campaigns, it's going to have really poor quality traffic, which is going to make you lose money, no questions asked. We've never, ever seen it be profitable or bring in worthwhile results. So like I said, there are nuances behind it. There might be use cases where you want to use a display campaign, but in most cases, we always recommend against them, because a lot of times people who are advertising their own accounts, they don't really know how to set up specific audiences. They don't know how to make sure that if it's going to run, it only goes to people that are worthwhile audiences. So if you're going to use any of those campaigns, I highly recommend against it. There's better campaigns to start with your budget, like search, like PMAX, like YouTube, whatever it is. Make sure you're using campaign types that give you control, that have success, low-hanging fruit type targeting. And from there, you'll have a lot more probability of success on the platform. If you have any questions about these campaign types or other campaign types you want to experiment with, make sure to drop it below. I'll answer it personally. If you want to see more videos like this, like and subscribe to the channel. We also drop daily videos and content on the best practices for Google Ads on our TikTok and Instagram. Appreciate you watching.